What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Joe Barber. Man, I'm in Texas, bro, so it's humid than a mug outside. And I'm just jumping online. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time, talking about men and some of our traits, some of our habits, talking about feelings, talking about leadership, talking about vulnerability, accountability. I've experienced a lot of stuff in my life, man, and sometimes I feel like God is calling me to lead other men, and He's been doing a work on me 100%, and it's come with a lot of pain, and there's different variations of pain that we feel. Sometimes it's the sacrifice of losing something. Sometimes it's the pain, a physical pain. Sometimes it's the realization of loss. Sometimes it's, the realization of your own doing, like who you really are at your core. And I just wanted to share some things today about that. It's like when you go through different seasons of your life and you're not facing yourself, right? And when I say you're facing yourself, I'm like really looking at your habits, looking at your words, looking at your actions, looking at your beliefs, and what makes you you. I felt like for a long time, what made me me was my success as an entrepreneur, or my success in a relationship, or my success as a family man, or those things. Not that those things are not important, but I've learned through trial and error. And there's individuals that I have hurt that it sucks, but I've done this where sometimes I don't know the damage that I do to other people. I don't know how I've hurt them and how deep it is, the pain that I've caused. And the realization of that, I know that it bothers me. It bothers me to my core because that's not who I want to be. And I've inherited a lot of traits from other people. I've inherited a lot of habits from other people that I've surrounded myself. So this is just a way to, I guess, give you fair warning, man. The scars that I wear and the scars that I carry, the pain that I feel, has a lot to do with me being logical and emotional. My logical side of me it's not something that I've worked on in my life, not to the extent that I have lately, and I feel like I'm doing that now. That doesn't mean that you turn off your emotional side, but I grew up very emotional. Everything that I did, I was passionate. I was very passionate. But the bad side too, when you're passionate and obsessive with something that you're good at, what happens is you find your identity in it. And then when that thing is taken away from you, what's left of you is a shell of a person. And I built my foundation on that, right? That identity, and of being a barber and being successful and all that. And when all this has been taken away from me, I lost a wonderful life that I had, and it was of my own doing. And I didn't know how to process that. And I didn't have a father to talk to. I didn't know the things that I was doing, like to the caliber or the degree of it being bad, And for example, I want to say is like, if you ever cheat on a person that loves you, that's in itself, that's horrific. If somebody did it to you, then you'll know, like, man, I would never want that pain, right? And unless someone has done it to you, you're not gonna know. And I've had someone that I love cheat on me, and it sucks, So when you do it to someone else, it sucks. And sometimes we don't even know why we do it, And I feel like there's a lot of propaganda. I feel like there's a lot of things that hurt us, right? So because of that, I know that we have to be very careful in what we're watching, what we're eating, who we're hanging out with, what information we're taking in, what we're applying to our lives. A lot of that is important, and you have to really identify. It was good. Thank you, sir. It was delicious. So my neighbor had gave me some cabrito yesterday, so that's what it was. But I look back at my life, and I know most men out there can do that as well. You can look back and you could identify some of the good things that you've done and some of the bad things you've done. And some of the bad things that you've done that hurt other people and affected other people, sometimes we don't even know. You could say something that you think is just like, oh, I'm just, just talking, or I was upset, so I said something and I brushed it off. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that person wasn't affected by it. And that's what I'm talking about accountability. And I'm not saying that you have to walk on eggshells. I'm not saying that you have to shut yourself down when those things do happen. I just want to encourage any man out there to know, because sometimes we paint the picture of, it's easier for us to express how we feel, and to someone else it's gonna sound like you're being a victim. To someone else it's gonna sound like you're being a jerk and you're being insensitive. And it's true that we are being those things. I don't feel like a lot of us are doing it intentionally. I was raised by my mom. I was raised by a lot of moms. I would hang out at my friend's house. I would go out to a lot of my friends' house and I would stay there. I lived in different houses, and amongst all the houses that I lived in, like as a kid, I was young, man. All the houses, man, I want to say out of all my friends' families, there might have been like 2 men, 3 maybe at the most, present in the household. So I don't know if that affected me as well by not having a male role model.
When you get a chance, I want to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
I need to go get a case of water. But only
Oh, to go to HEB? Yeah.
But if you have...
Yeah, no, we'll go in a little bit. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So yeah, sorry, my neighbor needs me to give her a ride to HEB. I think not having a father in our homes, it hurts a lot of us. And even though that is a fact, right? If we were to be able to come up with some numbers and say, you know what, a father not being home is this percentage, and it hurts people this much, and this is how it affects. We can do all that, right? But then when you start hurting people because you've been hurt, is it okay, right? Is that an excuse to be like, well, I know I hurt you, but I was hurt, so just be compassionate towards me and sympathize for me, empathize for me. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about, understanding your logic and your emotions. You have to be aware of that, man. And that's what this message is mainly about, is a lot of the pain that we cause is because hurt people hurt other people. And if you don't identify that you're a hurt person and you mask things, I think that's why a lot of us, we drink. A lot of us, we watch sports and we live through the sports because it numbs us. It distracts us from really growing. And I think that's what God did for me recently. I lost my business, almost lost my hand. And sometimes when you lose these things, it's like it's a loss, which you can feel, but you have to look at it as a blessing, because when God removes something, he has something better for you, right? And that's why it's important to get in the Word, because if you don't have that assurance, you're constantly going to rely on your own strength. You're constantly going to rely on your own understanding. You're going to rely on your own logic, your own emotions. And I know, like I'm explaining to y'all right now, man, is that for a long time I struggled emotionally. I was emotionally detached from people. And when I found the right person to be with, they would accept me that way, broken. And then I was like a project to them. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, it's the truth. Some people would see me and they see all the potential I have. how talented I am with art, how talented I am with my hands. I can do a lot of stuff. You know, sometimes I have that charisma because I use that as a strength growing up, to feel validated, to feel loved, and to feel appreciated, to feel like I mattered in a sense, right? Like, in this reality that we live in. And just recently, I've been going through a lot of changes in my life. And I've had some losses. Like I said, I've experienced some terrible losses. And some people ask me, like, man, bro, like, how do you do it? Like, what's going on with this and what's going on with that? And the reality is that my partner that I was with, she helped me identify all these things. She helped me, like, be self-aware. She helped me to understand, like, logic, emotion. She helped me understand how my actions affect other people. And not to say that I'm a terrible person, because I don't think I'm a terrible person. But I know that I have a lot of work that needs to be done. And that's how I have to look at it, because it's been a really big challenge